I'm Glenn Weinzimmer, and let's queer up business. Facebook says they made a mistake over queer content censorship. Meta admitted to mistakenly censoring LGBTQ hashtags on Instagram under its, quote, sensitive content policy. Hashtags like hashtag lesbian, hashtag gay, and hashtag bisexual were restricted, especially for teen users on the platform. Journalist Taylor Lorenz exposed the issue, prompting Meta to reverse the restrictions immediately. A representative from Meta said, quote, these search terms and hashtags were mistakenly restricted, end quote, pledging to make all communities feel welcome. GLAAD criticized the policy, calling it harmful to LGBTQ youth who seek support and connection online. The restrictions began in September of 2024 under new Instagram teen accounts. Settings controlled by guardians. There's so much on this, like accident, because I ran it. The hashtags that were included were hashtag lesbian, hashtag bisexual, hashtag gay, hashtag trans, hashtag queer, hashtag non-binary, hashtag pansexual, hashtag trans women, hashtag T-girl, and it goes on from there. That's not an accident.
That's right.
That's a deliberate group that pulling every LGBTQ out and deciding they're not going to be able to access certain content that's related. And when you talk about youth, it does restrict their ability to learn and educate, because if they can't click on hashtag, gay love story or whatever it might be, it definitely has an educational factor to it. What was interesting, I was on the way to the show tonight, I was listening to NPR, and they were talking about that they've reducing restrictions on almost everything.
That's right.
Ironically, because they were one of the biggest critics of Trump. And to make peace, they believe, with Trump and the Republican Party, they've gone ahead and lifted restrictions. They're going to be doing less fact-checking, as I think was the whole story was about, let the community fact-check. We're not going to do fact-checking anymore because it's so vast and we don't want to get it wrong. So instead, they're going to let you and I respond, or someone else respond who doesn't have necessarily the credentials behind them to be able to make an accurate statement that then goes worldwide and is misunderstood. So, it's really interesting how they turned it around so quickly on this hashtag LGBT things, but what they're also doing in a larger, broader way.
But this isn't new with social media companies. I used to be a researcher for something called Media Matters, and one look at is how social media was doing things. And Twitter was, before Elon bought it, Twitter wasn't the worst, but Facebook has always had a long, bad history of this. Personally, even when I'm on TikTok, if I say something about like gay bars, I'll be told it's a content violation. Yeah. These social media companies are constantly blocking us. And YouTube, too, has been known for years to hide LGBTQ stories. And this is something that we do need to do more about. I'm glad that GLAAD is trying to do something about it. I actually think all the different LGBTQ organizations should be more involved in this, because if you can't get your message out on social media, how are you going to do anything else with an LGBTQ rights organization?
Gives me more respect for the Hallmark Channel.
Right.
For those family value shows. They're doing some gay stuff now. Like this Christmas, they had a bunch of specials. But yeah, to think that they're the liberal group.
Will those clips get suppressed on Facebook right now?
Your guess is as good as mine.
But wasn't there a Senate hearing for this? So isn't this like a law broken, or doesn't he owe like a gay organization some money or something? Like what? There's no benefit behind it.
When Republicans do a social media hearing, it's Republican conservatives complaining that they do. I've literally watched this before. They complain they don't get enough likes and retweets on certain posts. It is the most bizarre thing to ever watch if you ever have an extra hour.
And it's a small group of people controlling everything. That's the scary part of it also. It isn't necessarily the opinion of our society in general. It's an opinion of a couple of people that don't like something, that stand up and scream loud enough that suddenly we're making changes because of, and I guess it goes both ways on both sides. If we don't scream about our rights as an LGBTQ community, are we any better? We're fighting for what we believe.
But shouldn't we get past screaming? Like at this point, we just gotta stop screaming.
Does it even matter?
I'm sorry, I wasn't yelling at you.
Yeah, well, you can't help yourself. You're Jewish.
What do you know?
It's the screaming that's the issue, and Facebook knows this. Facebook actually sat down with the task force back in 2018, and we talked about these concerns with them. This is very clear that they didn't listen.
Because think about it: are they screening any other hashtags that's dealing with hate speech or
any other
culture,
culture,
or anything like that? No.
Well, and it's that it's that 180 they're doing to kind of get back in favor with Trump and the Republicans that every company is doing, as you were
the inauguration
about, Alex. With the AI creator.
Yeah.
Well, that is a big LGBTQ story for today, and there is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.